Hi, I'm Shuichi Murakami. Welcome to the Designing Landscape Form series. In the theme of this episode is Let's Highlight Tree Shadows. In the previous episode, we learned fundamental methods for composing a space of columns and canopies with trees, drawing inspiration from the work of Dan Kiley. In this episode, we will turn our attention to the shadows of trees. Through the practice of the renowned landscape architect James Rose, we will explore the forms and movements of shadows created by branches and leaves, and the ever-changing expressions of light and shadow over time. Spaces formed by trees are dynamic. They are constantly in motion, never remaining still even for a moment. As shown in the video on the left, sunlight filtering through the gaps between branches and leaves creates delicate patterns of light and shadow on the ground, and the wind sets these patterns in motion. On the right, sunlight projects the silhouettes of branches and leaves onto window screens, and the wind gently animates their forms. Let us now look at schematic diagrams to understand how these tree shadows are formed. The diagram on the left shows a case in which tree shadows appear on the ground, while the diagram on the right illustrates a case in which they appear on a wind screen. Sunlight passes through the gaps between branches and leaves, creating patterns of light and shadow on the ground or the screen which become tree shadows. Now let us focus on the positions of the observer. In the left diagram, the observer is assumed to be on the same side of the ground as the trees and the sunlight. But what about the diagram on the right? In this case, the observer's position relative to the screen can be either on the same side as the trees and sunlight or on the opposite side as seen in the earlier video. In other words, when composing spaces that highlight tree shadows, the trees, the sunlight, the surface that receives the shadows, and the position of the observer can all be considered as variables. From the works of James Rose, we can clearly perceive his strong awareness of the structure of light and shadow woven by tree shadows. By examining the many photographs published in his book, Creative Gardens, let us explore the ways of highlighting tree shadows. In photographs of his works, tree shadows cast onto the ground appear frequently. The surface is sometimes soil or grass, but often it is paved with materials such as bricks. Through the contrast between the complex patterns of tree shadows and the great patterns of the paving joints, his design intention becomes clearly perceptible. Tree shadows cast onto walls can also be seen. From the way these shadows appear sharply on walls made of solid materials, one can read the deliberate relationship he established among trees, wall surfaces, and sunlight. In contrast, in some of his works, walls composed of translucent panels and lattice frames are used. Tree shadows are also cast onto such walls. But here, the silhouettes of the trees emerge on the opposite side of the wall. I have personally visited his own house, where I observed silhouettes of trees appearing on shoji screens. Furthermore, some photographs show works in which translucent panels and lattice frames are used for ceilings. On ceilings positioned beneath a tree canopy, the silhouettes of branches and leaves appear vividly from below. This concludes today's session. The practice of James Rose teaches us ways for creating rich and engaging spaces. Project tree shadows onto the ground, onto the canopy, and onto the walls. Project them onto the eastern side in the morning, the southern side at the midday, and the western side in the evening. By doing so, space is set into constant motion, continually shifting and transforming over time. James Rose can be understood in a sense as having shaped space through a dialogue with sunlight. In the next episode, we will learn methods for designing space with sunlight through the practice of James Rose. See you in the next episode.